What happens when the most shocking beatdown comes on the biggest stage in the world? The searing emotional pain of getting blown out in the Super Bowl, the way they got blown out in the Super Bowl, will never leave Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Mahomes was bruised, battered, bullied by the Eagles' pass rush. Nobody was open. The anguish of this non-stop nightmare will live with him forever. The Eagles' game plan was stunning. Play nothing but zone coverage, don't blitz Mahomes at all, literally 0 times, but create constant pressure with their front four, a 47% pressure rate, insane even if you were blitzing, and on the back end play cover 4 zone 59% of the time to completely blanket the Chiefs' passing attack. Cover 4 zone means 4 deep defenders guarding deep quarters of the field. So if you're rushing the typical 4 pass rushers, and you've got the 4 deep, that leaves just 3 defenders underneath. It's a coverage that says, you will not beat us over the top, we have 4 guys back there, so if you can execute over and over passing underneath against just 3 defenders, let's see if you can do it. The Chiefs definitely tried to, that was their plan going into this thing, and they knew the entire 2 weeks that the Eagles would be playing cover 4 zone. But Mahomes had the worst game of his career. Why did he struggle so badly if he and Andy Reid knew what the Eagles would be playing? Real quick, before we dive deeper into the film to answer that question, I want to thank this week's sponsor, SeatGeek. With the NFL season ending, the deals on SeatGeek are just getting started. They are the best app not just for NFL, but baseball, basketball, and for me living in Chicago now, comedy. Me and some buddies just got Theo Von tickets. I've always wanted to see Daniel Tosh, who's shockingly doing a show out here in the summer. And when I'm buying tickets, or my friends are, we always use SeatGeek. I prefer them because their app rates the deals for each game, concert, show, based on the best deal for each seat. A green dot means it's a good deal, a red dot, no bueno. So no matter when the event is I'm going to, I find a green dot, and it's as easy as that. Every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee, the app is super easy to use, and whenever somebody downloads SeatGeek, if you use my code Rollins10, you get 10% off your order. That helps support this channel and gives you a nice discount. The Chiefs started the game with 5 straight passes to try and stretch out the Eagles' underneath quarters coverage, but Eagles defensive coordinator Vic Fangio was more than ready for it. The Chiefs used formation by putting 3 receivers to the bottom. This attracts one of the deep quarters defenders and 2 of the 3 underneath guys. So Reid's plan here is to get Travis Kelce one-on-one with a linebacker and let him run an option route, breaking in or out based on the linebacker. But Fangio is ready. On just the 3rd play of the game, he only rushes 3, dropping one of his pass rushers, Josh Sweat, back to help against Kelce. Fangio knows that his 4 deep quarters coverage is weak underneath because it's strong over the top, so the Chiefs are gonna try and stretch his guys out underneath and create an attack one-on-ones as much as possible. On the first play of the 2nd drive, the Chiefs show another facet of their game plan, and the Eagles counter with another of theirs. Once again, we have our 4 deep defenders, and since the Eagles aren't afraid of any of the Chiefs receivers beating them one-on-one outside, their plan was to converge both their 2 high safeties on anything over the middle to effectively double crossing routes and completely shut Kelce and Mahomes down. Part of the Chiefs' plan was to get Mahomes out of the pocket to get him away from the Eagles' devastating defensive line. Here they use this slide protection with Juju and tight end Noah Gray to seal off the edge. They're trying to pretend like Mahomes is rolling to his right to hit Kelce coming across. But then Mahomes stops and Kelce crosses back the other way, but look at the safeties, there is nowhere to go. There wasn't anything deep outside because Kansas City doesn't have the horses, Hollywood, D-Hop don't get it done, and the crossing routes didn't work because the Eagles had their 2 high safeties cutting everything off. So the Chiefs just kept trying quarters beaters underneath to hope to stretch out the underneath coverage, but the Eagles knew this would be Andy Reid's plan. With the 4 deep defenders and 3 underneath, the Chiefs try to pick Oren Burks, who's responsible for the outside. But even though Quinyanamo is a deep quarters defender, he flies up to make the tackle. Another way to stress the underneath quarters coverage is flooding one side of the field with the receivers. But the Eagles' game plan was rock solid, and Fangio knew when to press the right buttons. They drop 8 again here on 2nd and 8. The first example, the first time they did it, it was 2nd and 9. During his preparation, Fangio found a tendency where on 2nd and long, Andy Reid was gonna try and stretch out his underneath coverage to get a quick gain, so he dropped multiple defenders off the line, risking a lack of pass rush. Andy's idea here is to stretch the quarters cornerback Darius Slay deep, Cooper DeJean out to the flat, so Kelce can come free in this open space, especially with Burks tucked so far inside. But the Eagles drop a pass rusher to take the pressure off DeJean, the safeties converge on Kelce, and this will be a recurring theme: put Hollywood Brown down here at the bottom and do whatever you want. We are not worried about these outside the numbers matchups one-on-one whatsoever. So the Chiefs counter and say, well, if you're not going to pay any attention to those matchups, and you're going to play 4 deep quarters coverages all day, we'll attack you underneath outside. But again, Fangio was ready. The Chiefs run this curl route to take advantage of quarters. However, at the snap, Reed Blankenship drops into cover 2 zone, playing a deep half, with Quinyon Mitchell trapping the flat. This is Fangio's cover 6 zone, his more classic coverage he used to play more of before this season, where you can see it's quarters up top with each guy guarding his quarter, but cover 2 zone on the bottom, with Blankenship now defending an entire half. The Eagles won this game because of their pass rush, yes, but also because of how often they took away Mahomes' first read with their coverage. You can see him set for quick game here with just 1 step, but when it's not open, there's nowhere to go. The reason for this is because quick game doesn't really have backside reads. You either start to the left or to the right, but the ball has to come out quick because of how quick the routes are, and then you're screwed if the first one isn't open. That's because Mahomes is then sent out of rhythm without his first read, where here the Eagles play cover 6 again, so watch him start to the bottom, but again Quinyon traps the flat. Now Mahomes has to wait, and Josh Sweat annihilates Joe Thuney. Mahomes gets hit while he's throwing, and it's picked. The Chiefs tried every quarters beater in the book, but they didn't have a second pitch against Fangio's minor tweaks to his game plan. The bounce concept is designed to stretch out Burks. If he sits for the quick dig from Juju, Kelce comes open, and vice versa. But instead of sitting in straight zone and watching Mahomes, Burks matches the route, almost like man, and presses the Kelce window, which would open Juju, yet Mahomes, already rattled, forces the ball to Kelce. So later in the game, they're gonna match it, right? But Fangio again tweaks his coverage, Bond doesn't match the underneath route, and Mahomes takes another sack. Then there was the interception, where the Chiefs are trying to clear out the quarters coverage by running their fast guys deep to get this quarter safety gone and this quarters corner out of the way so DeAndre Hopkins can come open. This is another designed rollout to get Mahomes away from the pass rush. You can tell because Noah Gray is sealing the edge inside. But watch how Cooper DeJean melts back into the passing window and makes a game-changing play. Notice how both safeties again converge on the middle and kinda double the threat heading deep. Let's fast forward to later in the game when Andy Reid uses the Eagle scheme against them. Again runs that deep route right through the middle to take him out of the way. Because their attention is snatched, Darius Slay has to follow the deep cross, so that leaves Nuke Hopkins wide ass open, but today was not the Chiefs' day. The Eagles were just ready. Ready for one of the tells that I laid out last week, where if Xavier Worthy is close inside towards the formation and is off the ball, he's likely going to run this slide route off play action. Well, Jalen Carter calls it out. Cooper DeJean and Oren Burks make sure to get on different depths for DeJean to chase Worthy down. And so many of the Mahomes sacks were coverage sacks because the Eagles simply knew what was going to happen before it happened. This game showed there is still another level of evolution Mahomes can get to. He is not a finished product. It's time for him to add back some of the elements to his game that he possessed earlier in his career. Here the Eagles trap the ISO route up top and bring their too high safety down on Kelce. The way to beat this is to throw the turkey hole shot between the corner and safety, or trust your fastest guy ever at the bottom, he'll win one-on-one. And while yes, the Chiefs' offensive line gave Mahomes no reason to expect he'll have protection, this is a clean pocket, and there is still room for him to grow. The Philadelphia Eagles put in all-time ass-whooping on the QB and the Chiefs. Statistically, it was the second worst game of Mahomes' entire career. His pressure rate against was higher than his completion percentage, and through the first half, the Eagles were allowing just 1.1 yards per play, the best in Super Bowl history. Not only did this elite defensive line allow them not to blitz even one single time, but the entire defensive unit was stacked up and down, making the Eagles an all-time talented team. By executing a simple yet effective game plan with elite talent, the Eagles bombarded their way to a Super Bowl victory. And despite facing one of the greatest quarterbacks, coaches, and dynasties in NFL history, I was wrong because the Eagles kicked their ass.